There we go. Oof. Oh, there we go. Oh, pop, pop. Just this a little bit. There we go. There we go. That works. Get a little bowl loaded up here on all that stuff. Load up. There we go. Whoop. Wow. You know what? Here, do this real quick. Boop. There we go. Cool. Swoop. Boop. All right. All right. Won't be on for too long. It's already kind of a late night situation anyway, as it is. But I kind of have like a couple thoughts in mind and stuff I want to kind of chit-chat about. Even if it's just, with super late night, nothing much going on. Let's fuck it. Why not? I was actually just listening to this interview, well, more like interrogation more than anything, between this thing with Mehdi Hassan and this lawyer from China, Victor Gao. And that shit was honestly kind of funny in a lot of ways, but also kind of like really ridiculous. And holy shit, I really want to find a way to try to react to that, because goddamn, bro. It was definitely kind of fucking nutty. But it's only about like a 45-minute thing, so it ain't like super long, but there was a lot of really great highlights, especially by Mehdi Hassan, because he was just kind of like trolling this bastard, every now and then. It was pretty hilarious. To be honest, I don't know exactly when the interview took place, but I know it wasn't really that long ago. Because maybe about maybe a year ago, probably like a couple months ago. I don't know exactly when. I didn't look at the date when it was released, but the whole thing itself was just hilarious. I mean, but also really kind of aggravating too in a lot of ways, just especially because of like the literal lies and propaganda that was being pushed by this fucking dude Victor Gao, because he's just like a Chinese state lawyer and a part of like the apparatus of the Chinese state essentially, and the dude is just like would straight up say some of the most wildest fucking shit in that entire fucking interview. It was nuts. Like at one point, he looked directly in the face of, a Uyghur woman that has her brother. That unfortunately, her brother is like basically disappeared and shit. And this dude Gao had the fucking gall to basically be like, I hope that you're able to contact your brother to be able to tell him to support the one party state and to encourage him to be loyal to the party and shit like that. And it's like, in literally the audience erupted in laughter, and Mehdi and her and a few others literally started talking over each other, saying she literally can't do that because her brother is in fucking prison and just like disappeared basically for all intents and purposes. You fuck. It's like, good lord, dude. It's like, holy shit. What a fucking nut, dude. And then at one point, it was Mehdi Masson was talking about like, you know, how it's not normal for like people to just be disappeared, like, you know, foreign minister, like the and feel and just kind of start going off, you know, the list of like different people who are like higher ups within the government. And this dude was like, yeah, I'm glad they disappeared because, you know, if they were allowed to continue to do their job, corruption would be rampant. And that is bad because there is rampant corruption in China, and that is not good. And it's like, and it's like, wait a minute, motherfucker. Like, two things with this one. It's like, for one, your ass is saying that, like, you know, the one party state, you know, with Xi, and like, you know, when it comes to the, you know, regime, you know, when it comes to Xi's regime, it's just like, that's all good. And it's like, you know, and it's one of the greatest things for China. But there's a lot of rampant corruption. Seems like Xi Jinping seems to be very okay with that, then apparently. So that seems to be a problem. It's kind of getting curious about how like that works out. It's like, wait, so corruption's rampant, but you know, the regime itself and the government is still all hunky dory and good. It's like, let that make fucking sense. So you can't critique it or, you know, take any actions, you know, against, you know, the state either. And that was another point that was brought up because they were in England, you know, so they had like, you know, this whole like point that he was trying to make that like, oh, you can't critique anything that, you know, that happens in England. You know, you're not able to, you know, like, you know, take action. And Mehdi was like, yeah, I can. I could literally like stand on a soapbox right now, start a protest at Buckingham Palace and say, down with the monarchy. You know, we should have a full legit democracy and shit, you know, as like a Republican, you know, in the sense of like, you know, Unionist versus Republican in British politics, Unionists being monarchists, you know, essentially royalists, you know, so it's just like, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he fucking can. He could take action. He does that, and you know, and he could say insults and, you know, say that, you know, the current fucking prime minister is a, you know, short little stacked loser or whatever the fuck, you know. It's like, it doesn't matter. And he's trying to say that no, you can't. And in China, you have to have like a very positive, you know, perspective, you know, about critiquing the government. It's like, what, silly, you know, happy insults, positive insults, and that's what Mehdi was telling. It's like, oh, so you could say nice insults. Like, how does that work? How do you do that? Enlighten me, so. It's just so fucking ridiculous. I mean, my favorite thing about it really was just that the whole like audience, you know, and some of these, you know, like these three guests that he had on, you know, to kind of like ask questions and give their commentary as well and stuff. They're kind of almost like moderators in a way, weirdly enough. And then it was like Mehdi, like all of them were pretty much just like running circles and laughing at this dude for how much of a fucking silly dipshit he was. And he tried to make an analogy about how, about like I forgot exactly why he made the analogy, but he made the analogy of like, oh, so when you have a car, it's like, and you have four wheels, you can't have them go in every which direction. It just doesn't work. So, you know, when you have a car, you have to have all four wheels go the same unison direction. And it's just like, what fucking stupid analogy are you saying, my guy? Like, he does realize that, you know, like their suspension torque and all sorts of other ways where tires are angled in certain ways depending on the vehicle and shit. And plus, also, their steering. It's like, bro, like, holy shit, what a way to fall flat on your face with your analogy, you fucking weirdo. It's just so goddamn goofy. I mean, if they're trying to send propagandists out there to sell the idea that China's all good and shit, they're not sending their best, ladies and gentlemen. Not sending the best. I guess we could probably at least listen to it one of these days. So maybe tomorrow I might do that because like it's certainly something. But my goodness, it is certainly lovely. It did have like another thing I was kind of thinking about, but I'm gonna smoke another bowl, kind of get this loaded up and pontificate my thoughts on that, because it has to do with some land baron shit, honestly. Because I was listening to a Paul stream earlier today about like these fucking landlords that he has to deal in Crescent City, and I got some thoughts about this fucking about that shit, because that shit in itself is fucking absurd. That shit just be fucking wild. It's like, bleh. Oh, nice. But anyway, so it was fucking like, so Paul's been trying to move to like fucking Crescent City and shit, and like he had to deal with this one landlord that like basically just kind of negged on him on a deal that he probably could have gotten, about like a month or so ago. And Din's been having to deal with this one fucking landlord that I guess named Kevin, who happens to be a landlord real estate content creator, a MAGA chud and a fucking yokel dipshit. And basically kind of, was like, spinning, Paul in the fucking mud and shit and fucking around with him about like, contract shit, and basically fucked him off. But then out of the blue, the other guy that, who gave the deal to some other person negged on that. So he's come back being like, oh yeah, you should come, come back on this stuff. And you know what? Like, I'll give you the deal because, this other real estate lady didn't want it anymore. She went back to like Iowa or some shit. That was like her, his story or whatever, supposedly. And basically he started having this conversation. It's like, so kind of looked you up. You're a Republican, huh? And it's just like, whoa, why is this guy asking, questions like this, who's supposed to be like some business guy trying to like, just get some tenant or whatever, just when it comes to that type of level of business, getting personal and like getting kind of invasive with this privacy. Because that shit like literally continues to build up, like where he very much like was, asking like, oh, so what do you think of Kamala? So you're a labor leftist, huh? What does that mean? Shit like that. And, being like, well, I kind of like you a little bit, bud. But started adding these sort of stipulations like, look, I'll like, rent the place out to you, but I might, still want to sell it and shit like that. And it had the weird stipulation of having people to maybe come over to check the property out and stuff like that, and all sort of shit, which obviously is like a no-no, in Paul's mind and stuff. And it just started doing a lot of this weird fucking bullshit. And, like, and Paul's been like kind of doing a lot of these streams where he's talking about this for like the last like few fucking days. And I know on the last Onion Nuggets, he kind of went off about that in like the first 20 minutes and shit, because it is just fucking ridiculous, dude. Is generally beyond insane about like how much like landlords think, they just like have some sort of like inherent right to your fucking like life and your shit and everything, being like, oh, hey, you know, it's like you want to, you know, live under one of my properties. Well, then you must, you know, be a fucking, you know, indentured servant to me and basically forfeit all your personal rights to me. Oh, you got a wife? Well, hey, can I fuck her every now and then while you're at it? If you don't want, then you can pay the hey, don't fuck my wife fee, you know, on top of your rent. How about that every month? It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's just like, I've been having a strong growing hatred for like fucking landlords and shit. But I mean, honestly, one thing, this is also another thing too. Like, I've been learning a lot of shit about Crescent City just based off of Paul's experience having to deal with these fucking landlord yokel bitch fucks, you know, in Crescent City. And I'm just starting to realize that it is a fucking MAGA country infested shithole yokel bumblefuck town ran by neo feudal landlord barons and fucking yokel truckle fuck hillbillies. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. And these places are a dime a fucking dozen. It's like, my God, man. It also drives me generally kind of fucking mad with like how much like landlords and real estate companies and like, you know, banks own these fucking you know, like own fucking land and own real estate, you know, and pretty much can like, you know, outprice and just like price gouge anyone out of this fucking shit just for their own gain. And even just to, like, fuck a few and just fuck with people over it too. Because they can, that's why. Because fuck you. It's fucking absurd. What is even also kind of sad was that when we were in Seaside, when we were first driving in, we kind of drove in on like kind of the main street area of Seaside for a minute. You know, trying to find like, you know, the little spot that we wanted to kind of find to hang out at. And like I saw a shop that literally had some like Let's Go Brandon and like Trump merch outside of it. And I was just like, bro, it's Seaside, bro. It's like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing here, Seaside? Seaside, what are we doing? Bro, I was just like, dude, I don't think any of my other friends saw it, but I just happened to be looking out the door like this, you know, just like, huh, look at all the shops. Good old Seaside, I remember this place. And I looked outside of one of the shops. I'm like, oh, there's Trump shit out that shop. What the fuck? I just kind of kept looking at it like, what the fuck? But yeah, it was there. And I was like, God damn it. God fucking damn it. I don't think it was a full-on Trump store. I just think there was just like a section of that shit outside as a way to entice people. And in this case, entice Trumpies. It's like, God damn it, bro. Motherfucker, dude. It's just like, bruh. Definitely a bro moment if there ever was one. Ugh. Man, I just will never understand, like, you know, some of these fucking, like, yokels sometimes. And I mean yokels in the sense of just, like, the hardcore, like, redneck kind of, like, borderline neo-Confederate status. Like, I'm a fucking rebel pride motherfucker. You you know, it's like dippy-doo-dah day ass motherfuckers. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. I just, I mean, like, I can't even really necessarily just get over that shit sometimes. Like, I mean, it's like, love Harley, bless heart, but his brother is definitely one of these kind of neo-Confederate types. And even on our way, when we were driving up to Saddle Mountain first, you know, where it actually kind of got brought up, I think, at some point. I forgot what the initial conversation started, but eventually they tangented into that. And, you know, and I was saying, it's like, man, it's like, look, I know he's your brother, but it's just like, man, fuck that neo-Confederate shit, dude. If he ever honestly wants to boast that shit, it's like, I wouldn't necessarily, have any problem like smacking around silly about that bullshit because it's like I ain't gonna tolerate nor stand for that shit. It's like I think it was because it came around from the whole thing about like intolerant of intolerance kind of thing. I think it was about that. I forget exactly the conversation, but like, because I was saying it's like, because, that neo-Confederate, neo-Nazi bullshit, I ain't just going to tolerate. It's like, well, look, he was saying, it's like, well, hey, neo-Nazis and neo-Confederate, there is a difference, a little bit. It's like, I mean, is there though? Aren't they just very much, the same thing with a different name? And my friends, I was like, yeah, pretty much. And I was like, yeah, they kind of are. I mean, because honestly, they go hand in hand in a lot of ways. I mean, the fucking Confederate movement and the Klan, shit back in the 30s and shit, and when the Nazis were becoming a thing and rising to power and shit before America even got involved in the war, they were in lockstep and hanging out with those motherfuckers all the time. So they go hand in hand. Maybe some of them might have certain qualms or maybe certain grievances about Nazis and shit, where they're like, well, we agree on a lot of stuff, but we'll use them as like cannon fodder or something. Because I know those have been. I know. My friend Venom, like, his step douche, basically, like, he pretty much had that position. So I know, like, some of these neo-Confederates probably have those type of positions, I guess, at best, quote unquote. But honestly, I feel like that's more or less that's just an excuse to say that they're not really affiliated with them, but they are. It's just a cop out, which is honestly kind of silly because like you're already admitting to be a racist fucking shitbag fucking scum anyway, so might as well go all the way with it, right? Confederates also got a lot of qualms about Jews too, just as much as Nazis do. So again, it's like, it's like the same difference, because of different distinctions of the name. It's like, give me a break. It's literally cut from the same cloth and they're pretty much right next to each other. It's just one has a slightly different pattern, or a slightly different shade of the same color. Then there's like the fucking bag of chuds, which overlap with pretty much all of the. And like, because I mean, honestly, like for me, frankly, like my issue has never really been like. Actually, because I was hanging out with my mom today too, chilling out with her stuff. We actually were talking politics a little bit, and I even told her this, like, because funny enough, like, Trump's assassination, was brought up, and and how like corruption in media and like the fairness doctrines being revoked and shit, pretty much just kind of led to a lot of that type of stuff. Like, it kind of got brought up in this kind of conversation. I told her, it's like, honestly, just because of things like the media and because of this hyper-partisanship and maybe we might disagree on this little part, but I do think because of Trump's, hyper, narcissistical, like, aggression and very emotional, positions and stuff. And she's like, she even told me, she's like, I don't even really like Trump that much, but, I think she would just be better than Kamala because I just don't think she's the right choice to be the first woman president. That's what she told me. I was like, okay. I mean, so she also kind of admitted that she does think that having a first woman president is a good thing. She kind of throws out some weird kind of like lib progressive shit like that, but it's like we never really explored why. She never really exactly explained why, but I gave her my reason why I don't like Kamala, but I told her honestly, I'm glad it ain't Biden. Honestly, I'm just like glad that she has Tim Walz as her VP because I really like him. I emphasize that. It's like I honestly don't because I know Oregon's just going to go to Kamala anyway. Won't probably vote for her, but I mean because of Tim Walz, I'm cautiously optimistic. I told her that. And she's like, oh well, yeah, I could get that. I mean, he seems all right. And I'm like, okay. So but The point being, it's like I told her, it's like, for me at the end of the day, it's not even my worry isn't really about like Trump or this and that or whatever. It's more about the fan base. It's more about the Trump supporters and stuff, like the loyal, like diehards who are like pretty much like cult status of it in a sense. And a lot of these, radical far right extremists, because like, I mean, there's not just FBI data, but there's also just research data that has been studied, on top of all this, where where it's like far right extremism is just a genuine problem. Like I even brought it back to the whole Trump thing too. When it came to him almost getting shot, it's like Thomas Crooks was a right wing extremist. Like he was, and who at this point we don't really know exactly the entire pure motive as to why he did it, but we know at least some of his background, and that's what he was. So it's one of those things where that is fundamentally a problem. And she's like, yeah, I definitely think it is. And so it's like she definitely kind of sees it as an issue, though. I I think she still kind of like kind of tries to kind of. She just doesn't really come up with the rightness like solutions necessarily. I think or comes to the right conclusions. I think, but I mean, I think she does kind of get it a little bit, kind of weirdly enough. Because I mean, we were having like some sushi together, just kind of talking about that stuff, and honestly, it was pretty. I think funny enough, a fruitful conversation. And despite her being kind of conservative, a little bit, like she does kind of have that weird hippy dippy kind of progressive flower power lib thing in her. So maybe next time I talk to her or hang out with her or something, maybe I'll try to explore a little bit about like you were mentioning about like Kamala not necessarily being the right choice for first female president. Like I don't necessarily like her specifically, but mind me giving you a pitch. It's like at least give me like I'll even put myself on a clock. I got one right here. It's like will you let me at least give you a pitch real quick? Because say what you want. You don't have to change your opinions or whatever, or anything like that type of shit. But like you always tend to talk a lot when it comes to certain things, and I feel like sometimes I don't always get the most word in edgewise occasionally, unless I'm writing it. So let me put the pitch. Because who knows? Maybe she'll actually be okay. Yeah, maybe she'll actually kind of get it a little bit. Because I mean, with Tim Walz, I think she actually might like him a lot. I might even like show her like a speech of his or something, and maybe have a commentary with her back and forth, and let her maybe be like, well, yeah, I agree with this, and that, blah blah. Maybe let her. I don't know, because I know his speech at the DNC or whatever wasn't that long. I'll just show her that, or just one of his speeches or something. Actually, I think I will show Tim Walz's speech because I want to show, because it cuts to a frame with Gus Walz, because I want to kind of bring up what the fuck has been going on with that bullshit, because it is fucking, honestly, it's kind of weird, but one of the few things where I'm actually legit kind of unironically triggered by like the right wing on when it comes to this type of shit where I don't find it fucking funny is with that shit with Gus, like because he's neurodivergent and obviously overstimulated, very happy and emotional, and it's, yeah, crying, for his father, and it's like you're goddamn right, I would too, if like one of my parents, happened to like be a VP out of nowhere or some shit, it's like, I mean, this is totally valid, and the right wing basically went fucking nuts on trying to insult him and undermine him and just like fucking demean him basically online and shit. And I mean, I can only imagine what the fuck he's feeling, dude. As a kid, and it's like, I mean, take the neurodivergent aspect about him aside as being autistic. It's like take that shit aside. It's like even if he wasn't, that's not alright. That's fucked. It's like go fuck yourself. Take his kid out of it. Like, I mean, because even when it comes to like, Barron, like whenever it came to at least his other sons, when it came to Trump, for example, like Eric and Don Jr., I mean, they're adults and they can make their own fucking decisions, so they reap what they sow with that shit. But with Baron, he just wants to mind his own goddamn business. So I never, like, the only time I ever talk with him is honestly just kind of being like, yeah, I wonder how, how he feels about all this shit kind of thing. Or, it's more like just kind of speculation and stuff and just kind of like, honestly being like, he's a gigantic fucking unit tank of a man. Like, he went from this little dude to just like this behemoth, like, just giant, dude. It's like, whoa, bro. I mean, so I don't know. It's like, I mean, so if anything, I kind of like to kind of meme on him a little bit, but in a good way, like in a positive way, like, and not even to make fun of him. Like, if anything, I'm kind of mildly intimidated by him a little bit. It's like, holy shit, you just became this fucking just unit. It's like, whoa. But when it comes to Donnie Jr. or Eric, fuck them. They're just they do it to themselves. Don Jr. especially. And then Ivanka, not as much. I actually kind of feel bad for her because I mean her dad has just such a weird fixation about her, dude. So fucking weird. I mean, I don't like her either, but honestly, it's mostly because she's just like a corporate piece of shit who just plays along with the game. Go along, get along, kind of bullshit. Like, so, I mean, fuck her for that, but, I mean, my ire is pretty much the same level as any other fucking piece of shit on that same level. I mean, it's whatever. I guess there's an extra level of fucker just because she's a Trump and still a little more sympathetic to, like, Trump and all sort of shit, despite being one of the more reasonable voices in Trump's ear. But at this point, I think that has been long gone. I think she decided to detach herself from that. But who knows? Why the music side? God damn it! Bleh. There we go. There we go. I was like, what the fuck was the sounds for? But yeah. I mean, even with Obama too, for example. Like, I mean, I'm not even one to be like, think of the children kind of thing, but it's like, I mean, when it comes to like politicians and shit, I mean, in a weird way, fuck them kids because it ain't about them. If anything, fuck them kids because it's in the benefit of them. Like, I don't want to deal with their ass and they don't want to deal with this bullshit. They're doing their own thing, whatever. Unless they actually are active in politics themselves and, do it to themselves, essentially, then whatever. That's on them. Like when it comes to Eric Trump or Ivanka or whatever, it's like, but just because they happen to be on, like in the audience, clapping for their, father or their uncle or whatever, it's like, who cares? Like, or if they just happen to have their own little venture and shit like that and they're just doing their own thing, maybe doing a small business or whatever the fuck, or maybe they're just going for school because they're literally are a kid. It's like, I mean, who cares? Just, let them do their own fucking thing. It's their own goddamn life. I mean, it's like, shit. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like, it should never really be a thing that should be brought up. But these right-wingers have such a, especially like a lot of these right-wing extremist types just have such a weird fucking fixation on this shit. And it's honest, it is weird and genuinely fucking honestly concerning. It's like, why do they have such a fixation on this shit? It's not because it goes beyond just like some traditionalist like Christo philosophy or whatever the fuck that they try to espouse. It goes way deeper than that. And I kind of feel like there are like some answers to it, but there's got to be some extra deeper root to this shit. I mean, maybe it's just as simple as just control, honestly. Dominance and control. But, I don't know. I feel like there's just something extra to it, though. But I think it might just be as simple as that. Because it's if you can at least dominate and control the populace, especially when it comes to women, then you can be able to control those children too, to be able to, be indoctrinated and controlled, to fit the narrative and the agenda that they can be molded potentially into. Because it goes down to that, root control of dominance and oppression too. I'll expand on it. It's fucking just, it's just nutty. It was one thing when, it was like some Reagan shit or some W. Bush shit, but like, we need to do a total, complete shutdown on this type of shit until we figure out what the fuck is going on, because goddamn, bro. Grind a little more up. Oh, come on. Get yourself squished in there. Squish. Aw. Someone's taking a big old sprawled out nap. Oh, you're not even taking a nap. You're awake. He just sat his head right up as soon as I started talking about him. It's like, you're talking about me? Goofy little thing. Well, damn, that was a fucking magnificent burp. Kind of goddamn proud, I'll tell you what. There we go. Swoop. I know I named the stream after some glizzies, because I'm about to have me some glizzies. But I'm not having them on stream. I'm gonna like smoke this last bowl. And to get me some glizzies. Because that's gonna be scrumptious. I think I'll do a little coffee stream before I go to work tomorrow. Because I know I gotta go to work at 3, which is gonna be oh so lovely. So I'm thinking I could probably at least, pop in around like 1:32 or something like that and do a little coffee streameronis and chill for a bit. And then dread going to work because, oh, fuck, man, that's going to be great. But, anyway, at least it's all good for now. So, we'll be out and I shall see you on that next one. So, toodaloo. I love that song just joined in right at that point.